Hi, everyone. My name is Stacy Schroeder. I'm the Regional Director for the Institute for Management Studies, and I'm so excited to be here with two amazing leaders. We have Kristy Berg, who is the Director of the Center for Excellence at Erie Insurance, and she's going to have a great conversation with Helene Segura, the inefficiency assassin. Helene's program is coming up on September 25th at 1 p.m., and we hope that you enjoy this short interview to get to know Helene a little bit better and get some context specific to Erie. So with that, Kristy, I'm happy to hand it over to you.
Thanks, Stacy. So, Helene, you've developed some amazing tools for time management and productivity during your career. What makes this a passion area for you, and what are some of the biggest impacts you've seen on others through your guidance?
Well, to start off with, going back to childhood, and don't worry, I won't take forever to go through this, but I realized as an adult looking back on my childhood that my father struggled with work-life balance, and I saw that affect my parents' relationship at home. So I think that's where it originated. But as I have moved through life, I have discovered that, including myself, I get really stressed out if I am not feeling that balance. I've met so many other people who feel like, oh my goodness, I have so much going on. How do I handle it all? So my passion became, how can I help people feel more relaxed when they are not at work? So that goes back to streamlining people's work days so that way they can have that relaxation. And as far as the biggest impacts, the most extreme examples, and this is very rare, but the most extreme examples are helping somebody prevent a divorce or helping them, not get fired. So those are very few and rare simply because most people don't wait until it gets to that point to ask questions. So typically, the result is they are able to chop maybe 5%, 10% at the very beginning from their day of lost time. And then they keep working and working until they get to the length of workday that they want. For another team, it might be that they were able to increase their revenue while working the same amount of time because they learned how to operate more efficiently. So those are just a couple of examples of the impacts.
Awesome. Erie has adopted a very unique remote day policy where Erie employees have a bank of 52 remote days that they can use as they like throughout the year. Do you have any insights or tips to help individuals maintain that productivity with that kind of unique schedule where everyone on your team may use those days differently?
Right. At first, when I heard about it, I was thinking, how is this going to work? Because other companies have tried that kind of hybrid schedule. But what I learned about Erie is the way it's set up, you have to apply for your remote days. You have to put in for it just like you would vacation day, PTO, and so on. And I think that is super beneficial because it makes you think ahead and makes you plan ahead, which already makes you more productive versus just being able to walk out the door on a Thursday afternoon and say, hey, everybody, I don't feel like coming in tomorrow. I'm working remotely. Plans aren't in place. So the fact that you do have to think ahead of time and plan your days, that is fantastic. From a personal productivity standpoint, the top level thing to be aware of would be what is our current mission or incentive or plan right now? What are we working toward for this month or this quarter? And having an understanding for you and everybody else on the team who is supposed to do what by when. That way, no matter what somebody's schedule is, everybody, including you and the rest of your team, they understand what is supposed to happen by what time. And that will help folks, whether they're working from home that day or working in the office.
Those are some really good tips. You often use the term time leaks. Could you give us some more details and examples of what that means and how we can get better at identifying and hopefully eliminating them?
Absolutely. I came up with this term because I realized that most people don't lose time in large amounts all at once. So if a client comes up to me and says, oh my gosh, I feel like my day is out of control, where does my time go? We need to determine exactly that. Where does your time go? And it's not like you lose an hour all at once or 3 hours all at once. For most people, it happens in a few seconds here or a few minutes over there. So it could be that you have a task in front of you that you really don't feel like completing. And so you stare at that computer screen or device or desk for 30 seconds, a minute, and then you get started. That is a time leak. Another type of time leak is if you have so many different competing priorities and you're looking at 3 different display monitors on your desk and you're trying to figure out what you do next, that's another time leak. It might take you a minute or 2 to figure that out. It could be instantly answering those IMs that pop up on your screen. Each time you look at one of those, you are losing brain restart time from the task you were doing in front of you. That's another leak. So the key is to identify what your leaks are, and that means paying attention to where your time goes. Once you really start focusing in, you come off autopilot, and you start paying attention to what you're about to do, it is incredible how many of these time leaks you can identify, and then from there decide which one do you want to plug first. And then once you've plugged that one, you move on to the next and the next and the next.
Very interesting. We've all come back to the office within the past couple of years, and I feel sometimes that our time does leak away. So that's a very interesting perspective on it. And all of those little leaks do add up. So working on those techniques will definitely help us.
No, most definitely. And when my clients track their time, they're often surprised to find out they might lose 90 minutes, 2 hours, up to 3 hours a day in total when they add up all of those time leaks. You don't realize that's what your time goes. So it's really great in that you don't have to worry about what other people are doing or saying or asking for you to plug the time leak. You have total control over this, which means you can instantly gain back time just from realizing what your leaks are.
Fascinating. As you know, in the insurance industry, it's very relationship focused. And that means that some of us don't always have control over how long our conversations may go. Do you have any advice on how individuals in those types of roles can still maintain efficiency and manage their time?
Yes, if possible, if you can schedule your calls ahead of time when you block it into the calendar, or if you use a call scheduling system and the client is arranging for it, you can set the time frame for 20 minutes or 30 minutes, however long you want it to be. But that's if you can schedule calls ahead of time. What if you can't because something's happened, that client has a question? If you have a relationship with this client and you have an idea of how long this conversation might take, you might consider setting the expectation as soon as you open your mouth to speak to the client. So for instance, client calls and says, Kristy, I'm so glad to talk to you because I've had this huge accident. I'm not sure what to do. So to set the expectation, and keeping in mind they just had an accident, they're upset. You don't want to say, I'm sorry, I can't talk right now. I'm in the drive-thru. I need to get my lunch first. Of course, you'd never say that. But what you might say is, oh, I am really sorry this happened to you. I actually have a break right now in my schedule. So let's take care of this. I've got about 20 minutes before I need to get into my next meeting. Let's get the most important information so I can start this claim. And then I'm going to touch base with you to find out what else I need. So you're setting that expectation. Maybe 20 minutes is too short, to intake a claim, but you get the idea. For some conversations with insurance agents, when they're speaking to their clients, that conversation could go on for an hour, especially if this is a long-term relationship. That's why it's really helpful if you can set an appointment if possible. If not, set the expectation ahead of time. Oh, yes, great. I have some time right now. I've got about 30 minutes until my next commitment. How can I help you?
Yeah, we at Erie like to focus on that above all in service promise to our customers, and realizing that that might also impact some of that productivity and fall into that time leak category really is kind of eye-opening and gives you a different perspective on what we're looking at. Thanks. What a great tip.
Yeah, you're very welcome. It's so important to be of service to the clients, but at the same time, if you are of service to the extreme, it actually lowers your productivity, because if you have to be on call 24/7 and instantly answer everything, that doesn't leave a lot of time for the actual work that needs to get done as a result of the call. And when clients know that you are efforting on their behalf and you're getting answers to them as quickly as possible, they are not going to mind a more concise call, especially if you are very diplomatic about it. And if there is that established relationship, you are still asking them some personal questions. How's your daughter? How's your son? How's your vacation home? Or whatever the case might be.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Great. And no surprise, this is one of the most efficient interviews that we've had so far in the series. I do want to share just a couple things. So first of all, make sure that you're registering in advance because you'll get the opportunity to participate in a short survey from Helene that'll get you starting to think about how is your day-to-day schedule? What are maybe some things that are time leaks for you? So you can get in the right mindset to really take in all the information and tips that you're going to gain during the session. And if you're not registered yet, a great way to do so is reach out to Jackie Callahan or look on your intranet through your learning management system and register for the program. It's on September 25th from 1 to 4 p.m. Eastern Time over Zoom. Thank you, ladies, again for a great conversation. It's always so good to get that connection between a leader at Erie, talk a little bit about the culture and the specifics, and get some insights from the educator that's coming up. So again, encourage you to register. Looking forward to seeing everybody in September. And thank you, ladies, again for a great conversation.
Thank you.